Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this, another of our webinars hosted by Merchant Tech Research and Standard Bank Online. If you could please just indicate to me that that we can see your hands showing. Wave, you can all hear. Great, great. All right. Yeah. You guys are have suddenly popped up on my screen, which shouldn't really be there. Just going to try and figure out how. Could you switch your video option off there, Jonathan? Because I'm trying to share my screen. Sorry, guys, if you could just bear with us. And yeah, sorry about that. So Merchant Tech specializes in producing research on the mid and small cap sector on the JSE, and we've done so for the last 20 years or so. And through our association with Standard Bank Online Broking, you can access all of our research reports on their website, where you'll find detailed analysis and coverage of stocks like Balwin and 30 to 40 other mid and small cap stocks on the JSE. My name is Brian Rainier, and I'm a Director of Research for Merchant Tech. So one of the companies that we initiated research on a while ago was Balwin Properties. And today I'm joined by both their CEO, Steve Brooks, and their Financial Director, Jonathan Weltman. And they've recently presented their results, which were their results through to February 2020. And we're very happy to welcome them here today to talk to us broadly about Balwin Properties and what it does and how it's faring up in the current circumstances, as well as to really look to the future to see how the business is doing. So with that, I'd like to just give you a broad overview. Balwin is a property development company. They're focused on the development, marketing, and selling of high-quality sectional title residential apartments and residential estates. And they've been doing this for a very long time, since 1996, and they listed on the JSE in 2015. They're approaching the 3 billion rand in terms of annual revenues, and they have profits of around about R500 million. They've got a market cap of around about R1 billion, and we believe they're trading on an exceptionally low forward price earnings ratio. And they're certainly another one of those quality companies where we believe there will be some significant upside once we see some normality returning to the economy. So to take you through what it is and what they do, I'd like to hand over now to Steve. And so welcome, Steve and Jonathan. And Steve, if you could perhaps give us just a brief history of the group to refresh in everyone's memory and a broad overview of what you consider to be the most important things about what you do today in Balwin.
Okay, Brian, how long have I got for the introduction?
Oh, just 5 to 10 minutes would be great. And if in that
okay, cool.
You can take us through the different business models that you have.
Good. Thanks,
yeah.
Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome everybody out there. I hope there's a lot of ladies out there, because I'm passionate about ladies in construction. So welcome to all of you. Balwin started in 1996 in humble beginnings in the south of Joburg. Started by myself, who's a born and bred contractor, so I've got the necessary technical skill in this field. Very successful start in our first development, and grew the business tremendously in Joburg, eventually ending up getting to the stage where I had the fantastic acquaintance of Jonathan Bear. Jonathan Bear liked us, came in, joined the business, and then proceeded to list. We've been listed now for 5 years. Very proud of our listing. Have a fantastic board of directors guiding the business with Hilton Saven. Fantastic executive committee headed up by myself, our superb managing director who's been involved as a partner of mine for the last 24 years. Jonathan Weltman is our CFO, and a host of very, very good management in Balwin. And that's I think the biggest success of Balwin is the management. The main thing that we do differently to anybody else, because they always ask the million-dollar question, why are we different? The main thing we do is we do in-house construction. And 3 of the original founding directors, Rodney Gray, Ulrike Schneider, and myself, are all true contractors by profession. So we all know how to build. And we've got a fantastic team of permanent contractors that have been with me, some of them already in their 2nd generation. We've built a pretty good business. And we take the construction margin out of our business, and that's how we manage to make the margin we do. And then the other secret, which we're very good at, is the marketing side. We do all the marketing in-house. One of my skills is that I love marketing, so I'm a lovely contrast from a real die-in-the-hard boots bricklayer right through to marketing. I love marketing. It's a passion of mine. I believe we're good at it. We managed to sell, even in lockdown last month, we sold 200 apartments. So it's quite a feat. We've got in-house agents. So our bleed through marketing is very small. So that's how we manage to churn and get the profit margin we do. We now have a national footprint, concentrating mainly in Gauteng, Tshwane, KZN, and Western Cape. All obviously where the correct demographics are that support our brand. And then I've also been extremely lucky through my career, meeting fantastic gentlemen like Rodney Gray and Ulrich in the beginning, and then eventually Jonathan Bear and getting Jonathan Weltman involved. And then recently I've had the good fortune of bumping into our dear president, the Honorable Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, and he has befriended me in a most pleasant manner. And much to my, I think there's only 2 people in my life that scare me when they phone me. One of them is Jonathan Bear, because he's always so bloody pleasant to me. And the other one is the president, who phones me about every 2 weeks. And on Saturday, I bumped into him just outside my home and we had a long chat. And he's asked me to try and help this country's housing problem, which they haven't really had much success at. So we've got this fantastic new product of ours called our Green brand, which has been fantastically designed by one of the biggest architectural firms in the country, Buchardman and Partners, headed up by Andre Wright and myself. And we've created a brand that basically caters from $495 to $795. And Mr. Ramaphosa is very keen on that brand, and we're busy doing a large initiative with government. And our first 3 projects are 56,000 of these apartments. Is busy getting cabinet approval, and that's going to be the new look going forward of our Green brand, which we're very, very proud of, through all the various government subsidies, FLISP, and then also with, I know you're on a Standard Bank initiative now, so I don't want to be too cheeky, but the first bank that helped me getting the green mortgages over the line was ABSA Bank. I know Standard Bank will also be keen on it, which is basically if a client qualifies for a prime loan, they can get slightly below prime because of our green initiative. So we've done some very innovative things, of which the president is very, very excited about. And he's very honored, which he's told me directly, to see somebody that's put that much effort in. And I said, well, you know, when you ask us, we're going to definitely put the effort in. So we see Balwin going forward as a mid-range developer in our normal brand. We do 1 or 2 upmarket developments, but the bulk of our business, the volume business, will definitely be in our Green brand, of which we're very proud of. And then we're also looking at some micro unit developments. We're looking at something at Waterfall and in Sandton on the micro side as well. So there's some quite interesting innovation going forward. And I'm pleased to see that our share price is finally starting to move in the right direction. I think that's just a brief overview, but the strength of our business, just coming back to a summary, is definitely the quality of the people that are working for Balwin. Thank you, Brian. I think that's just in a nutshell.
Thanks, Steve. And just a question on that, with the President's interest in your model. We've seen businesses like Calgrow, who've been concentrating entirely in that space and looking very much to government support. But it's been a very tough market for them over the last 5 years. Is there a suggestion that there's going to be some sort of assistance from the government, or
Yes.
is it more just your own initiatives at a very well-priced, a very good price point and in an integrated development? So it's very much around the integration of the population into your secure park developments.
Yeah, Brian, there's some fantastic ideas and initiatives that I've worked on with some phenomenal people in government that have been obviously put into my direction via Mr. Ramaphosa. And the big thing is that the government's going to help us with infrastructure spend, because that's the biggest nightmare for any developer. The land price is very easy, but the infrastructure spend is a nightmare. They're definitely going to help with that. In other words, they're going to pay for that. And then I've come up with a very creative idea on VAT, which is to make the government projects zero rated for VAT, which basically allows me to get down to the prices of $4.95 and $8.95. So it's not really anything terribly exceptional, except for if you zero rate the VAT and then government pay for the services, we can make this work. So those are the two fundamentals that are going to make Balwin different in this space. You know, the usual selling, we all do the selling and the construction, but those two big things I've worked on. I've got obviously legal rulings on both of them, and they are very workable. So we're busy working through that process at the moment.
Okay, that's interesting. And
it's very simple, which is, you know, when something's simple, Brian, then it normally can work.
Yeah, and your, I mean, obviously COVID has turned things, you know, upside down at the moment. But what are your long-term views on the South African housing market in this space, and particular reference to that lower to middle class target market?
You know, Brian, yeah, I'm not a socialist by any means, but you know, we have to redress the past horrors of apartheid in this country and stop doing this RDP housing, which just turns into a mess as fast as they occupy it. I've been quite strong with my discussions on that. And I really believe our green brand can help tremendously. You know, we've got to obviously scale it up before it has a significant impact. But I believe that market, you know, the numbers that we're seeing coming through on Lightstone, the scenario, the numbers there are unbelievable. But we also need to protect those clients. And that was one thing I spoke to Mr. Ramaphosa about through our green brand, is to protect those clients with, if obviously they qualify for subprime mortgages. At the moment, now is definitely the time to buy. You know, it looks like there might be a few more little rate cuts coming, but now is definitely the time for people to climb into housing. And you know, I'm very unusual in that I've got a brand ambassador who's actually a DJ, DJ Euphonic, and he's really helped us be in tune with the black market. And as he says, there's a fundamental shift that has to happen, because most young guys will go out there, first thing they buy is a fancy car and fancy clothes. He says, you know, and he's quite vocal about this. He was on a good webinar today. And he says, you know, we've got to get that market into, first thing you buy is your home. And then you go and buy a car that's reasonable. And then off you go. So you know, he's quite an interesting guy. I like him a lot. And we're really getting our logic right in this market.
Okay, and in the short term, are you seeing the impact of COVID on demand for your units?
Yeah, look, you know, we always were geared up to sell online, and then as soon as we went into lockdown, we really turned the taps on the online. And we did the first month we did 160 sales, and last month we did 200. So we opened up yesterday and with our sales centers, and we sold 24 apartments in one day yesterday. So there's definitely a demand out there for good quality product with low, because the interest rates are low. So, now's the time to go out and buy. And if there's ever a time for young aspiring South Africans to buy, it's now to get into the housing market.
Although I guess one has to contrast that a little bit with some of the projections of house prices coming down by 20%, which means it might be cheaper now to go and buy, not a new development, but something that's fallen quite considerably in price in other areas.
Yeah, but it's always the same as when people ask me, when they how to buy in London, and I say, oh, really? And they say, oh, but they know somewhere there's a 30% discount. And I said, if it's 30% discount, it's crap. So, sorry, I don't, we're putting our prices up a little bit, not a lot, just a teeny bit, because obviously we've got construction inflation. So, our sales are strong. People like our product. And very importantly, they like our lifestyle developments. And even in the green brand, we've got what we call our green barn, which I've developed, which is really an unbelievable amount of facilities that we've managed to put in. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for good facilities, good property, location, location, location. And we've got it.
Okay. So would you say those are the key differentiators of your particular model?
Yeah, also, Brian, I also pride myself, generally in the townhouse market, the developers don't go for the top architects. And I've always prided myself, I've got BHK in the Western Cape, I've got Light Architects in Joburg, I've got Bochentman in Pretoria. And, I'm quite particular. I've got the lead architect, Eric Heemstra, Guy Steenekamp, and Andre Wright, on all the meetings with 3 big teams. And they really are doing some cutting edge design and some good stuff, which is a little bit unusual in this market, because normally the top architects are doing the flamboyant, real big office parks or Melrose Arches. So we've always employed first-rate architects, and we believe that makes a big difference in this market as well. I mean, our Munyaka development, which is our new Crystal Laguna waterfall, is absolutely outstanding and selling like wildfire. We've just hit over 600 sales, and we haven't laid a brick yet.
Sure. And the competition out there, I mean, you guys, have you managed to differentiate yourselves in such a way that there's no one really competing in this particular niche that you've developed for yourself?
Yeah, Brian, thanks. The scale that we do, is unprecedented out there. But there are a lot of damn good smaller competitors. I love Samacon as a competitor. I think Rod Frew is brilliant. I always joke with him that he used to keep me on my toes a few years ago, and he says, well, now, you've got me on my toes. I said, well, Rob, come on then. I love competition. I think it's healthy, and I don't think we should ever be an island. So, yeah, M&T are doing some good stuff. Some guys in Cape Town doing some great stuff. So, yeah, I love competition. I welcome it. And I think we need competition to keep us on our toes and to keep us, I wouldn't like to say honest, because I think we are honest, but I'm saying I think it's an important thing in this capital society to have competition. And I would never like to think that we get arrogant. So I think we should always keep on our toes.
Okay. And that being said, though, you've had quite a change in your mix. I think, with the general economy being already, before we got into COVID, there was pressure on selling prices, and you used to have you were for a while really promoting your elite models, which were, I think, the 3 or 4 bedroom, much higher ticket price, and now you've moved to the green models and the lower priced models. Did that put some pressure on margins at all?
Yeah, there's always going to be pressure on margin when you change something, but we're restructuring our whole logic again at the moment. So, hopefully the margins are, I think, as Jonathan would say, they're going to start, I think his famous counting words, that they're going to uptick now. So I think margins are at the low now, and they're going to start moving up. But, we're in an honest business. Your margin, we're not in a profiteering business, so we want to give good value to our clients. So, I think the margin we're making, we do make a healthy margin. We've got We're building up our cash reserve. So the business is starting to mature now. And I think we have to go with the market. You know, I've always said, you know, we've got to keep on top of the market at the moment. 1 and 2 bedrooms are definitely more popular than anything else. But our ground floor 3 bedrooms are still selling well. So we've matured, and I think we're getting the mix a lot better now.
Okay. And are you getting any sense from the banks around their willingness to provide bonds, especially to the target market that you're going after and to first-time homeowners? Is there any pressure being put on the banks as well by government for first-time, especially the aspirant black market coming through?
Yeah, you know, we've been through enough cycles over the last 25 years, and we pride ourselves in our in-house mortgage origination. So we deal very closely with the banks, and yeah, they love Balwin product. They give our clients good deals, and we try and protect our clients as well to get the best deal for them. And they're very, very willing to lend to this previously disadvantaged people. But I think there's also a lot of education that needs to go with it. I mean, some of the banks are already starting the 105% loans, which in my opinion is a little bit dangerous because, you know, it gets overheated then. But I think, you know, as long as we are able to keep the education going, I think that, you know, the banks will always support us, and we've had great business for them over the years.
Okay, and you're not seeing any retraction, as you know we saw back in 2008 when we had the financial crisis. There was this major pullback in liquidity of supplying mortgage loans, and really impacted back then on the property market for some time.
No, Brian, but remember, we do sell to investors, but the majority of our sales are to end users, so the individual one-by-one sales. So, you know, if you get an investor buying 100 apartments and he's overexposed, that's when the problems start. So, you know, we haven't seen anything like that.
Nothing. Okay, great. Well, Steve, thanks very much for that overview. And I'm going to turn now to Jonathan, and I'll come back to you a little bit later for some of your prospects and the view of where the future is going. But Jonathan, perhaps you could just take us through at a very broad level the latest results and give us a sense of where the business is actually at in terms of its revenue and growth and the kind of margins and the profitability of the business.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, so there you can see a snapshot of our results that we've just recently brought out. As you all know, it's been a difficult economy and climate that we've been in, particularly in the macroeconomics of South Africa and specifically in the property industry. And, you know, quite pleasing for us that we've managed to grow our top line by 11% in both the number of apartments actually handed over. You can see there from, you know, 2,400 odd to just over 2,700 apartments for the year. And in rand value as well. So, you know, that was really pleasing for us. And the reason for that, like you say, is management have really adapted to the change in economic conditions, moving more towards, you know, the more demand product of the 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom from our 3 bedroom, and also into our green product, which is, you know, starting from 500,000 to R1 million apartments. So, you know, that has been the shift, and that's enabled us to grow that, you know, that top line number. We also managed to focus quite heavily on our cash resources. You know, I think that became a lot more topical towards the end of our financial year with COVID in particular. But you know, as a development company, that's always, you know, key for us to make sure that we've got enough cash resources on hand. So, you know, at roughly, you know, 1.2 billion rand market cap, we had just short of 500 million in cash. So, you know, that's quite pleasing for all our shareholders, and that was a growth of 54% year on year. And some other numbers just to touch on there, we've got just short of 600 million EBITDA. So that just shows, you know, that we're a really profitable business, given that the revenue size how much EBITDA we actually return on that, with good gross profit margins, just above 27% for this last year. And as Steve mentioned, slowly upticking now. We're probably at the bottom of the cycle at our last interim results, and now grown a little bit and expected to grow slowly from here. And profit for the period, just over 411 million rand. So, quite healthy numbers given, the backdrop, as I say, of the economic conditions that we've been facing ourselves, even though that was down 9% year on year. Quite a healthy set of results, with basic and headline earnings per share at 88 cents a share. And then our net asset value, like you mentioned up front, trading at a net asset value per share of 6.31 rand. Our share price is now sitting at about 3 rand. So, quite a heavy discount to NAV, which I think you've seen probably across the board for a number of companies, but I think ours in particular is pretty discounted. So, that's quite a healthy set of numbers given where we are right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. And as we've been saying for some time, we think there is significant value to be unlocked in the share, particularly as sentiment improves. Yeah, Jonathan, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Maybe one other thing I'd like to just point out there, Brian, is our balance sheet number that doesn't really touch on here, where we've got developments under construction. Around about 3.5 billion rand worth of developments under construction, and that's sitting in our balance sheet at cost, which comprises of our land and our work in progress, our construction. So, that number needs to be converted, obviously at our profit margin close on 30% to be converted out of the balance sheet. So, quite healthy sums that we sit there with a strong balance sheet as well. So, quite positive signs for the business.
Thanks, yeah, and agree, Jonathan. Steve, I'd like to come back to you now before we go to questions. And our delegates out there, you can put your questions up. I see we've got quite a number, which I'll be getting to in a few minutes. But Steve, so coming back to you, looking to the next year or so, how do you see things panning out for Balwin? I mean, we see level 3 now. When we spoke a couple of weeks ago, we didn't know if you were going to get back to construction, but it certainly looks like you are. Are you back? Is he working away? And how do you see the rest of the year panning out? We're anticipating, further disruption. Someone in the gang gets COVID, and they probably all have to go home and self-isolate for a couple of days or weeks or so. How do you see that panning out? What are your plans, both short term and in the medium term for the rest of the year?
Thanks, Brian. I was just going to ask, are we going to have a tea break now? I'm going to keep my sense of humor. Brian, I'm a long-term player. People that know me well, and I think you're one of them, Brian, I'm extremely passionate about this business. I love it. As my wife says, I work 8 days a week. I think it's fantastic. My long-term, I'll start with my long-term goal. My long-term goal is to create a diverse, integrated development business in South Africa with a national footprint. And, I liken this to playing squash on a league. You've got to start off at number 100 and then become number 99. So I want to take Balwin out of the small cap space into number 99 on the stock exchange, Jonathan, if I'm correct, which is we need to get to a market cap of 7.725 or whatever the number is. So that's my long-term goal. On the short term, out of every disaster in history, and I love history, there's always been some fantastic upside. And I believe my upside for Balwin in this time is the strength of the management, strength of the people I've surrounded myself with, and the pure pleasure of dealing with Mr. Ramaphosa and Mr. Jonathan Bay and the likes of that. And I think there's a fantastic opportunity here for government to honestly look at housing in a different manner. We've given them a massive proposal, which they've accepted. They like it. And I think that going forward, we're going to have some speed bumps, as they say, with this COVID. You know, it's got to be, as you say, if one of us gets ill or we have to fumigate our offices, but we'll manage through it. And, you know, I'm determined to have a good set of results for next year, even if it means my construction working through December, through the traditional break. So we believe in hard work and big effort. And as you can see on the picture, you know, I've got the exclusivity for Crystal Lagoon. We're rolling out our second one. Our first one in Pretoria has now got a 10 million rand villa attached to it, which we've got someone biting to buy that, which will be quite exciting, someone from London. And then the second one is Munyaka, and then we're going to be rolling out 6 more of these lagoons, which again is very innovative, puts us in a league of our own, but these are still integrated societies. So in a nutshell, we want to be the best developer in the mid space and with very much an integrated society through our green brand and our lagoons, and we believe we can do it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that, Steve. We've got a few questions. Some more general ones, but someone's saying, is right now a good time to be buying property across the board?
Yeah, 100%. But you know, as I said when I mentioned about London, I think, you know, anybody buying right now, interest rates are low, so it's a good time to buy. But please be astute. You know, don't buy the bargain of a lifetime, because often, you know, goedkoop is duurkoop in the fantastic Afrikaans language, you know. So just make sure you go to Balwin, Summercon, M&T, some of the good developers that are out there. Or if you're buying a second-hand property, make sure it's properly checked. You know, just make sure what you're buying is good quality property, and definitely now's the time to buy. I mean, the tables are turning. It's cheaper to have a mortgage now than to pay rent. So in my opinion, yes, now's the time to buy, but just be cautious.
Okay. Now this more specific question, is there, what's red tape like at the moment, and has it got worse in the crisis?
You know, I'm not one to slate government or municipalities. You know, there's a system out there. The system does work. We have got superb consultants and management. We get in there, and, you know, I do have the ear of certain people that will help smooth the way for us. But so far, we haven't had to use it. So yes, the red tape could be a bit smoother, but there's also a reason for a lot of the red tape, is to make sure things are done properly. So, you know, we do work in those constraints, and we get in there and get on with it. And often we have fantastic cooperation as well.
Okay, and has it got worse, particularly in the last couple of months, though? You know, I know the Deeds Office was closed for a while, etc., kind of thing.
Well, the other day we went for an approval from the NHBRC, who have been notoriously difficult in the past. Not difficult, but a lot of red tape. And we went in the morning and we walked out in the afternoon with our certificates. I mean, there's a curveball. Lovely big smile from the people and full cooperation. So yeah, I think that's what we need to see more and more from councils, is that when they see guys like us coming along, they should be smiling and saying, right, we'll help you. Let's get this thing moving. So that's what we're looking for.
Okay. Some specific questions is, do you have a BE partner in the business?
We don't have a BE partner, but I've been very vocal about this, which has probably bored some shareholders in the past. And we finally have got 3 candidates, of which we have made our choice, and we will be announcing it soon. And we believe we've got a fantastic BE partner that's going to add great value to the business.
Okay. All right, great. Well, guys, thanks very much. We don't have any more questions at the moment. So I'd like to just say thank you very, very much. Any concluding comments that you'd like to make?
Yeah, thank you, Standard Bank. We do a lot of business with Standard Bank on the home loan side. I personally bank with you guys, so thank you for all your support over the years. Brian, thank you very much for doing this. I want to get Balwin share price up to reward all our shareholders and continue doing a good job. And the pinnacle of my career is the president phoning me. He's been phoning me quite a lot. And, I'm writing a book, and I've had to dedicate a whole chapter to the president calls. And we had a lot of great fun in our family because my wife had dinner with Nelson Mandela, and I got called by the Honourable Cyril Ramaphosa. And my grandson got held by him at our launch at Munyaka. So it's a tremendous honour in my career. And I want to be proudly South African and create a fantastic business in this brilliant country of ours.
Well, thanks, Steve, and all the best and good luck to you in doing that. Sincerely.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, guys, ladies.
The rest of our guests, I'd just like to remind you, once again, that all our research is available on Standard Bank online, on their website for Standard Bank clients. And please look out for our detailed reports as released, as companies provide their latest results. So keep an eye open for our report on Balwin, which should be coming out in the next couple of weeks, along with a number of other companies as we get into report season. And we'll certainly get a much better sense from management on the view of what's happening in the COVID-19 environment and what are the prospects for a lot of companies. Looks like Balwin is relatively defensive in the current market and a good bet compared to a lot of other companies which we think are going to be really bleeding for some time to come. So thanks once again for your attention, and thank you very much to my guests here today, Steve and Jonathan. Thanks very much.
Brian,
thanks very much, Brian. Just one last thing to point out. I know a lot of the guys doing research there from the Standard Bank, platform, is that we've just produced this past week our annual integrated report, which has a lot of good detail for a lot of the guys who are looking at doing quite a bit of research there. So we've just published that, which also has the detail of all our financials as well. And then you're certainly welcome to contact myself if anybody's got any questions around Balwin or around it as an investment or shares. So certainly welcome to contact me, and the details are all in there. And I think just to echo what you've said there, Brian, is that are fairly defensive in nature as well, which is good to see. And I think we've proved that over our numbers over the past couple of years. So welcome anybody to go through that and contact me if needed.
Thanks very much for that offer. Yeah, and if you have any specific questions, also feel free to email us. Our details are on the website, brian@merchanttech.co. Thanks very much, guys. See you on the road.
Thank you.
Great. Cheers then.
Bye.
Bye.
thanks.